Just like much of East Africa, the Kenyan landscape is diverse. Situated on the equator along the eastern edge of Africa, Kenyans benefit from lush and fertile environments, while also threatened by the semi-arid terrain that is subject to frequent droughts. Still, agriculture is much alive in Kenya, with large-scale domestic and export production growing and small-scale production still a primary source of income and sustenance for many rural families. Dr. David Kagima, the Director of Extension and Technology Transfer at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, invited me to an extension farm near Nyeri town in the central province. Here, he explains to me that the most frequently produced crops for local and domestic production include maize or corn, cabbage, spinach, carrots, kale, parsley, and sugarcane. Although many challenges continue to face small-scale agriculturalists and horticulturists in Kenya, exemplars of success are not difficult to find. For example, just outside of the town of Nyeri sits the Children and Youth Empowerment Center. The organization is a public-private organization that assists at-risk and former street children and youth. The older youth participate in entrepreneurship projects, one of which is small animal husbandry with goats. Here, we see a Penn State student helping a youth member of the center with giving medicine to the goats to prevent them from contracting worms. These goats are raised for their milk, which is sold to local community members. The youth who work with the goats are also part of a cooperative of goat farmers who meet monthly and help train each other in best practices, including breeding and bookkeeping. Other forms of animal husbandry that are common in Kenya are cows and chickens. As stated earlier, small-scale agriculture is very common in Kenya. Here, a group of youth from the Children and Youth Empowerment Center work on the farm, or what they call the shamba. The crops produced in this shamba will be fed to the children who live at the center, as well as sold in the local community. One of the benefits of small-scale agriculture is that farmers care for the soil, knowing that the land will be a source of sustenance for their families in the years to come. Depleting nutrients or exhausting the soil would have negative consequences on a family's well-being. Here, George, a shamba farmer at the Children and Youth Empowerment Center, explains to me what he and his fellow youth members grow in the shamba.
I'm George Derito. I work for CBO and goats. I do in the shamba, and we have planted some cabbages, carrots. We have carrots, maize, skuma, spinach, and tomatoes in the greenhouse, and also potatoes.
Most farmers have a shamba to feed their own household, and then any excess is sold to the local market. Hand implements are commonly used. Although there have been pressures on farmers to use more mechanized practices, such technologies require financial investments and maintenance. In the town of Thika in the northern portion of the central province, there is a women's cooperative called Moringa Women's Nutribusiness that produces a nutritional flour. A group of Penn State seed students and faculty visited the co-op. Here, Jane Wanjiku, the plant manager, explains how the co-op came into existence.
The reason why we came up with this idea is after the research that was done, we found that our children were dying under the age of 5 years because of malnutrition. And we found that within our area, we have a lot of food during harvesting, but we didn't have the idea of preservation. So the one who started this project, Dr. Late Maritim and Mr. Kamau from Muranga, they came with this idea of preservation of food. We can use it during the drought season. We process porridge flour, although you can use it in various ways other than cooking porridge. You can also use it in baking a cake, when cooking chapati, and also mandasi, and even to make in the stew. This porridge flour, this basket, the final product, will actually help. We have the ingredients here. We use maize, amaranthus, beans, pumpkin marrow, or carrots, and bananas. Now, after getting all the final stage, after getting to the final stage, the flour, you mix in a proportional manner such that you get a balanced diet. This is the final product of all those ingredients, and it's very good to children under 5 years, but we start feeding from 6 months because it's too strong. It's good to recovering person, the one who have been sick. It's also good to old people, those are aged. It's also good to people with HIV and AIDS. Yeah.
Although this Nutribusiness is working to fight malnutrition, for the women involved in Nutribusiness, this co-op provides a valuable opportunity to use agriculture as a livelihood and to help support their families. Because Kenyans must deal with dry seasons, preservation is key to ensuring that people can endure all seasons. Haymaking is another form of employment that helps ensure that farmers have hay for their animals through the dry season. Here, youth have started a business in which they cut grass and make hay bales for farmers or anyone who owns large plots of land. In this scene, they are baling hay for a training center run by the Ministry of Agriculture. They use a homemade hay baler which they made themselves. The hay baler works much like a plunger. The hay is slowly compressed and then wrapped in twine. These youth are either paid monetarily or with a portion of the hay bales, which they can then sell during the dry season when prices for hay increase. As you can see, the plunging process requires a great deal of strength. More mechanized balers are sold in Kenya, but are much more expensive than this homemade model. This baler is also light enough so that it can be transported easily by mounting it on the top of a vehicle. As Kenya continues to experience more severe droughts and increased competition for food in the global markets, farmers will continue to face challenges. However, as we've seen in this video, creativity, innovation, hard work, and attention to soil and animal health have proven to lead to success for many small-scale agriculturalists in Kenya.